Fox News alert, the United States and the Iranians are now talking.
Based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets in Iran. We're giving it 5 days, and then we're going to see where that takes us. And I would say at the end of this period, I think it could very well end up being a very good deal for everybody.
The president's giving the mullahs a lifeline, but warning them, don't blow it.
If it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
5 days from now is Friday night. The markets will be closed all weekend. That's when Trump likes to act. And that's when the USS Tripoli, along with 2,000 Marines, will be arriving in theater. Right behind it, the USS Boxer, our amphibious assault ship carrying 4,500 sailors and Marines. A source says those Marines aren't coming for decoration. They're bringing an infantry battalion team backed by choppers, F-35s, and armored landing vehicles. It's en route from San Diego. On top of that, elements of the 82nd Airborne have just been seen arriving in the Gulf as the Pentagon weighs options for Karg Island, Iran's crown jewel. More on that later. Iran's running out of cards. Its Navy's underwater, and we've been pounding their defense industrial base. These are kamikaze drone and missile manufacturing plants getting decimated. Here's a before and after shot of the regime's ballistic missile production facility, blown to bits. They haven't cried uncle yet, but the president says talks are positive.
We've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time, they mean business. And it's only because of the great job that our military did is the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done, I hope.
On Saturday, he gave the mullahs a 48-hour ultimatum to open up the Strait or he'd bomb their power plants. The regime remnants are already hiding in bunkers, so if you turn the lights out, it gets a little scary. And an unidentified so-called Iranian leader reached out to Washington to talk peace. These are the first peace talks since the bombs started dropping. But not everybody's on the same page.
Iran's foreign ministry says you're not telling the truth when it comes to productive conversations to end the war.
Well, they're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement.
The media has already sided with the Iranians. They think the Iranians are telling the truth, and Trump's just making it all up. These are the same Iranians who last week claimed they sunk one of our carriers. They lied about their nuke program and how many civilians they slaughtered. Maybe Iran's trying to look tough to keep their population in line. Or maybe, since they're all hiding with no cell phones, they don't know who's talking to who. The gay Ayatollah's MIA. The CIA thinks he's wounded, and he might not even know he's in charge. We haven't seen proof of life. And while he's on an IV drip, the Republican Guard's consolidating power. But some ran into the woods and haven't been seen since. Literally. The head of Iran's militia escaped into a forest and pitched a tent. Ordinary Iranians spotted him making a fire, tipped off Mossad, and the IDF took him out with a missile strike. Reports say Iran's security forces are on the run.
The Iranian regime is in chaos. This is Hitler's bunker. Hitler is dead. Himmler is dead. Göring is dead. Most of what you're seeing are lone wolf activities.
Trump can't even say who he's negotiating with. It's too risky.
I don't want him to be killed. Okay? I don't want him to be killed.
Mr. President, you've deployed.
Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants that job right now, you know? Nobody's exactly looking forward to being the head of that particular country, but perhaps we'll be able to solve that problem.
Trump's announcing he's negotiating with the Iranians makes what's left of the regime not really trust each other. Nobody knows who's talking, so they all suspect each other of treason. Trump announcing talks also lowered oil prices and rallied the market. Reports say we've been in talks with the Speaker of the Iranian parliament. One administration official says the Speaker is a hot option, but they're still testing multiple candidates, like it's The Apprentice. Now, if this is true, We're in the beginning of the situation that we saw in Venezuela. We're hearing Trump sending Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner over to meet with the speaker in Pakistan this week. The American position is clear.
We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it, low-key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. We want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that, and I think we're going to get that. We want no enrichment, but we also want the enriched uranium. If this happens, it's a great start for Iran to build itself back, and it's everything that we want.
The deal looks like this. We're not going to be sending them billions of dollars, and we're not going to let them play cat and mouse with inspectors.
How are you going to get the enriched uranium? Are you going to send?
It's very easy. If we have a deal with them, we're going down and we'll take it ourselves.
This is why Trump ordered Operation Epic Fury when he did. Yesterday, the Iranians lobbed 2 mid-range ballistic missiles at a U.S.-British base in Diego Garcia. It's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's about 2,500 miles away. Luckily, we intercepted it, but this is the longest an Iranian missile has ever traveled. The Iranians told us they didn't have this capability. Now we find out they have missiles that can hit every European capital. If we waited a few more years to disarm their nuclear program, Iranian missiles would have been raining down on Paris, London, Berlin, a few more years, and maybe New York City. In North Korea, we waited for the threat to be imminent. Well, we miscalculated, and the Hermit Kingdom went nuclear and now has missiles that can reach L.A. Trump thought, we can't make the same mistake twice. The Iranians have already shown their capacity to commit terrorism in the last couple weeks. Tehran's attacked over 300 civilian targets. They haven't hit a tanker in the Strait for 7 days, but last week they did target Arab oil infrastructure, and tankers still aren't going to be sailing directly under the line of fire, which is why whoever controls the Strait wins the war.
What about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's going to be in control of that?
That'll be opened very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will Iran still be able to control the flow of oil?
Be jointly controlled.
By whom?
Maybe me.
The number of ships sailing through the channel has now fallen from 100 a week to 7 since the first strike. America's energy independent. We don't need the oil, but our allies do. And our allies are finally getting off the sidelines.
The good news is this, that since Thursday, 22 countries, most of them NATO, but also Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Bahrain, the UAE, have come together to basically answer 3 questions. What do we need? When do we need it, and where do we need it? These 3 questions are now worked through to answer the President's call to make sure that we secure the free sailing through the Strait of Hormuz.
We've been the world sugar daddy for over 80 years. The U.S. Navy and you, the taxpayer, are protecting the free flow of oil all across the globe. If 20% of that flow gets cut off by a rogue regime, and our friends in Europe and Asia don't lift a finger, that's unacceptable. Just like NATO had to boost defense spending, other countries need to become more self-reliant. Green energy isn't going to save the world. The mullahs aren't bombing windmills. So a coalition of the world's finest navies look like they might be ready to help. And the Dow shot up 600 points today, and the price of oil plummeted back down into the 90s. Now Iran's on the clock, while a naval alliance and American Marines are on the way. If the Iranian speaker doesn't play ball with Witkoff, the United States could either seize Kharg Island or blockade it. Seizing it would be the endgame. We'd control the regime's revenues and just pass out cash to our favorite faction. But it's risky. Kharg Island's probably booby-trapped. It's mined. Iranian soldiers are stationed there and could put up a pretty nasty fight. And whatever missiles and drones the country has left, they just shell the island relentlessly while the Marines tried to hold it. Not impossible, but it's tough stuff. There would be casualties. Another idea is a naval blockade of the island. Less risky, but still dangerous. The next couple weeks could determine who wins this war. America's credibility is on the line. We've invested a lot already and can't allow the regime to control the Strait. Oil prices would never recover, and neither with American prestige. Iran's not a superpower. If we can't finish the mission, it'll show that we don't have the stomach for a real fight. But if we finish the job, it'll usher in a new age of American energy dominance that'll put America in control for the rest of the century and make every American's lives more peaceful and more prosperous, even for the next generation.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.